When he came back, he looked at me like time had stopped, like I was still the girl he left behind. But time did not stop for me. It moved slowly, painfully, and it changed me. Before I tell you about the woman I am now, you need to know who I was back then. My name is Lena, and when he left me, I was 24 years old. At 24, I believed love was simple. I believed that when two people loved each other, they stayed. They talked. They waited. They tried. I believed love meant forever. Not because I was naive, but because that was how my heart worked. I was the kind of girl who trusted, is the kind who gave everything once she felt safe, and with him, I felt safe. We met in a quiet time of my life. Nothing dramatic. No fireworks. Just two people walking side by side, talking about nothing and everything. He listened to me. He remembered small things. He held my hand like it was something precious, not something temporary. When I was with him, I felt chosen. Not perfect. Not special. Just chosen. Our love was gentle. We walked a lot. We sat in silence without feeling uncomfortable. Sometimes we talked about our future like it was already waiting for us. A small house. Simple dinners. Growing old slowly. I didn't dream of luxury. I dreamed of peace. And with him, peace felt possible. He used to look at me and smile softly. "You're the one," he said once. I believed him. Not because he said it, but because of the way he stayed, the way he showed up, the way he made space for me in his life. He talked about the future often, about plans, about Jimmy. He said, "No matter what happens, I won't leave." Those words stayed with me. They lived inside my chest like a promise I could rest on. I didn't know then that promises can disappear without saying goodbye. The day he left was not dramatic. That is what hurts the most. There was no fight, no shouting, no clear ending, just confusion. He said he needed time. He said he needed space. He said life was heavy, and he felt lost. I listened. I understood. I always understood him. He hugged me and said, "I'll come back. This is not the end." I watched him walk away, and I believed him. At first, waiting felt hopeful. I checked my phone with a smile. I told myself, he's thinking, he'll call. Days passed. Then weeks. I told myself love is patient. Months came quietly. Friends asked questions I didn't know how to answer. "Are you still together?" I said, "He just needs time." I protected his absence like it was fragile. Time moved forward, but I stayed still. I replayed memories instead of making new ones. Every sound from my phone made my heart jump. Every silence made it sink. Then the months became years, and hope slowly turned into something heavy, something tired, something painful. He didn't call. He didn't write. He didn't explain. The silence grew louder than any words. At night, I asked myself questions I was afraid to answer. Was I not enough? Did I say something wrong? Was I easy to forget? I didn't hate him. I hated myself. I watched other people move on, get married, fall in love again. I stayed where he left me, emotionally frozen in a moment that never returned. His silence became a kind of betrayal. Not loud, not angry, just empty. And emptiness can hurt more than cruelty. One night, I finally understood something. He didn't just leave the relationship. He erased me from his life, and I let him erase me from my own. That realization didn't come with tears. It came with quiet, a deep, painful quiet. I survived. I went to work. I smiled when needed. But something inside me went quiet. The girl who believed love meant staying slowly disappeared, and that was the girl he left behind. 24 years old, Full heavy trust, waiting for a promise that never came. After he left, life did not become better quickly. It became quieter. At first, that quiet felt like punishment, like the world was telling me I deserved to be forgotten. But slowly, the quiet became something else. It became space. Space to breathe. Space to think. Space to rebuild the parts of me that had been waiting at the door for years. I didn't heal in a beautiful way. I didn't wake up one morning and feel strong. I healed in small, ordinary moments. I healed when I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. I healed when I ate dinner without staring at an empty chair in my mind. I healed when I laughed and didn't feel guilty about it. Sometimes I still cried, but I cried differently. Not because I missed him, because I missed myself. For a long time, I lived without answers. And at first, I hated that. I wanted a reason. I wanted a final sentence that could close the story. But life doesn't always give you clean endings. So I learned to close the story myself. Not with his words, but with my choices. I started doing things for me. Not to prove anything. Not to show him what he lost. Just to feel alive again. I changed my routine. I took walks at new places. I met new people without comparing them to him. And I learned something important. When you stop waiting to be chosen, you start choosing yourself. By the time I turned 32, I was not the same Lena. The girl he left behind was soft in a way that made her easy to break. But the woman I became, she was softer in a different way. A wiser way. I still had feelings. I still believed in love. But I also believed in boundaries. I believed in respect. I believed that love without care is not love. It is just a hunger that hurts. Then one evening, everything changed again. Not because I wanted it, but because he came back. It was a simple message. Nothing poetic. Nothing brave. Just a few words that made my chest go cold. Lena, it's me. Can we talk? I stared at my phone for a long time. My hands didn't shake like they used to. My heart didn't run toward him like before. Instead, I felt something strange. Distance. Like he was a person from an old movie I watched long ago. Still, I agreed to meet. Not because I missed him, because I wanted to see who he was now. And maybe I wanted to see who I was. We met in a small cafe. When I walked in, I saw him immediately. He stood up fast, like he had been waiting for a miracle. His eyes looked familiar. His face had changed a little, but the expression was the same. That old confidence. That old comfort, like he believed he could return and press play on my life. He smiled at me like we were still us, like no years had passed, like I hadn't spent nights fighting my own sadness. He said my name softly, Lena, and for a second, a tiny part of me remembered the girl who loved him, the girl who believed. He started talking like we were catching up after a short trip. He asked about my life. He said he thought about me. He said he missed me. And then, in a quiet voice, he gave his explanation. Not dramatic, just convenient. He said life was hard. He said he was lost. He said he couldn't handle responsibility. He said he needed to find himself. And then he looked at me like those words should heal everything, like pain should disappear just because he finally returned. Then he said the part I expected. I want another chance. I looked at him, and I didn't feel anger. I felt something deeper. I felt clarity, because while he was talking, I realized something. His story was still about him, his pain, his journey, his reasons. Even now, he did not speak about what he did to me. He did not speak about the nights I waited. He did not speak about the way silence can destroy your heart. He spoke like my feelings were a small detail. And that's when my inner conflict arrived, like a wave, a memory wave. I remembered his hands holding mine, his voice promising forever. For a moment, I wanted to believe again, but then another memory came. Me at 24, sitting in my room, staring at my phone, waiting, hoping, feeling smaller every day. I breathed in slowly, and I understood the truth. He left once because it was easy. He disappeared because he could. And I stayed not because I was strong, but because I had no choice. I didn't get to find myself. I had to survive. I looked at him and finally saw him clearly. He wasn't a villain. He wasn't a monster. He was just someone who loved comfort more than commitment. Someone who returned only when it was convenient, and in that moment, I knew if I let him back in, I would lose myself again. Not quickly, but just slowly, the same way before. So I spoke calmly, no shaking voice, no tears in front of him, just truth. You came back too late, I said. I already learned how to live without you. His face changed, like he wasn't ready for that. Like he expected me to be grateful, like he expected the old Lena. He tried to explain more. He tried to soften his words. But I didn't argue because I wasn't there to fight. I was there to finish something. I stood up. And before I left, I said one last thing. I forgive you, I whispered, not because what you did was small, but because I don't want to carry you anymore. He looked stunned, and I walked away. Outside, the air felt cold and clean, and for the first time, I didn't feel like a girl waiting for a man to return. I felt like a woman walking back to her own life. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't feel empty. I felt free. Because closure is not a gift someone gives you. Closure is something you build inside yourself. He returned after years, but I was no longer the same. People can leave, but you can grow. And sometimes growth is the happy ending.